But there's a study out of Kaiser Permanente. The more EMF a fetus is exposed to when inside the mother, the greater the chance that that child develops asthma by the age of 13.
Oh my God.
So you see even these delayed health effects resulting. So when I said you're seeing these negative health outcomes across essentially every biological system that's been measured, that's the picture that I'm trying to draw for your listeners. It really impacts every aspect of our bodies.
What's up, everyone? If you're looking to be inspired, motivated, educated, and entertained, you have come to the right place. Welcome to the Bomb Mom Podcast, the podcast where we explore your fitness, life mindsets, and actions that help you become unstoppable. You're worth it, and it's time to finally make changes in your life that will last you the rest of your life. Hey everyone, welcome to the Bomb Mom Podcast. I am Melissa Vogel, your host, and I have a new little guest co-host with me today.
Hello.
Jovina, my daughter, she is here to help me introduce our guest today and talk all about EMF radiation. You guys are going to learn so much today. But first, I have to welcome our listeners. So if you are returning, I'm so glad you're back because you are going to want to hear every single second of this episode because it literally blew my mind. I mean, we record on Zoom, so me and the guests can see each other, and the whole time my mouth was open and I'm like, no, oh my God. Are you serious? Okay, that makes sense. Like my facial expressions were just hilarious because I was learning so much. And then if you are new to the podcast and you've never heard us before, you're in for a treat because you're going to get blown away with the first episode that you're listening to. But I always invite you guys to go back, make sure you listen to every single episode because there are really great discount codes in there. I want you guys to get the full picture of your health and wellness and staying safe from EMF radiation and your cell phones and Bluetooth technology. It's part of that puzzle. Right, Jovina?
Yes.
So can you tell me what EMF is?
It's electronic...
Magnetic?
Oh, yeah. Electronic magnetic fields.
You're right.
Right?
And what is it, basically? Can you tell me?
I think it's the radiation and, the waves, like the electronic waves coming off all the devices, like cell phones and computers and stuff.
You're exactly right.
Oh, wow.
You're exactly right. And you were so close with the EMF. It does. It stands for electromagnetic field radiation. But we have on today R. Blank, and he is phenomenal. He is just an expert on this topic. And I was telling him that I've been looking into this for a long time now. I have constantly seen studies and I've heard how bad basically our cell phones are for us. And kids carry them in their back pocket and they carry them in their, book bags right next to their body. And they're constantly plugged into AirPods and everything. I've known that this is a problem. I know there are products out there to help us and block radiation. I totally believe in that technology, but you guys are so much out there and so much information. I didn't know what was true. I don't know what products are junk and just, crap to buy. And I've started things with the kids. It's always been this way in our house, but I've started things with the kids that, hopefully helps decrease their exposure. And we talk all about kids and different studies in this podcast. But Jovina, what are some things that we do in the house that you can think of off the top of your head that we're already trying to decrease your exposure to this radiation?
Well, some of the rules that you have is you can't have it in your room. You can't have it in your backpack, except if you're doing your homework or something. Well, in your room. If you can't have it in your room.
Right. And she's talking about the cell phone.
Yeah. You can't have your cell phone in your room. You can't have it in the bathroom. You shouldn't have it in your backpack, like you said.
Yeah.
And you can't have it on the couch. And you have to use it at the counter.
I know, which is super annoying, huh?
Yeah.
We talk about this in the podcast, too. I was telling R all about my rules in the house, and I've got a jump start on this, you guys, because if you allowed your kids to have them in your room, they're going to be on those phones all the time. And then guess what? They plug it in and they sleep with it on your nightstand. And we talk about the effects of having this phone and this radiation on you all the time. And we sleep with it right next to our head. So one of the things I do is I don't let them have their phones in their room. You know, if they need it for school and they're like doing work in there, like, okay. But overall, I don't want them in their room, you know, just messing around on social media and stuff. But also I want to decrease that exposure. And then you can't have it on the couch. You just can't sit there and have phones on the couch and blindly be on your phone, not socializing. So I'm cutting back on the radiation there and their use as well. And it's kind of annoying to have to stand up and go to the counter and use your phone. So a lot of ways that we're trying to cut back on it, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I talk about that in the podcast, but R Blank is the CEO of Shield Your Body, whose mission is to make technology safer, with hundreds of thousands of customers in over 30 countries, and having been interviewed on platforms ranging from ABC television to Electronic Sense. R is an internationally followed expert on issues of EMF, health, and safety. He was inspired to create SYB, Shield Your Body, when he co-authored the best-selling book Overpowered with his father, Dr. Martin Blank, one of the world's leading EMF scientists. He has degrees from Columbia University, UCLA, and he now hosts the new Healthier Tech podcast. You guys have to check that out. We also have a website for you guys. We have a coupon for you. We have a free PDF download for you. So make sure you check out the show notes, check out his products. Make sure you're following me on social media. It's ITS Melissa Vogel, because I'm going to show you the products that I have and that I use from his company. And we're going to make a change in my house. New rules are going to go in place because my eyes are even opened even wider to this right now. And I want to keep my family healthy and safe the best I can. Right, Jovina?
Yep.
Your mom's always doing crazy things, huh?
Yeah.
But you love it. And you love me.
Yeah.
Thanks for hosting with me today.
Uh-huh.
All right, you guys, enjoy the show. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the Bomb Mom Podcast. And today we have R Blank on. Welcome to the show, R.
Thank you so much, Melissa. It's great to be here.
I cannot wait to dive into this. I say that probably like every episode, but this time I really, really mean it.
Well, I'm excited to share this with you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we were talking before we started recording, and I was telling you guys that, you know, I've tried to find more information on EMF and the effects of it. And, you know, now we got all these fancy AirPods and all this stuff. Like, I've been looking at this for a long time, but like, there's so much information out there on this. I don't know what to believe. I don't know what products out there are crap. So to have an expert like yourself on today, huge.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to help educate you and your audience on this topic.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you're an entrepreneur, you're a writer, you're a podcast host, you're a technologist, like you do it all. So you're the guy to talk to.
Thank you very much. You're making me feel really good today. So I appreciate that.
Yes. I love it. Now you have the podcast, before we dive into anything else, you have the podcast called the Healthier Tech Podcast.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. So, well, I actually just started it this year. I run it. It's one of the, you know, because here at SYB at Shield Your Body, we do a lot of education. Started off with blog posts, but then it got into videos and live webinars. And we figured podcast would be another great way to help communicate and educate our audience. And whereas a lot of the information that we share through shieldyourbody.com is focused on EMF radiation in particular, I wanted to start covering kind of a broader set of topics that really get into a healthier relationship with technology. So it's not just about the EMF exposure, it's about how we relate to and use the technology in our lives kind of on a broader scale, which directly impacts our EMF exposure, but also impacts other areas of our health and wellness, both physical and mental. In season one, we not only covered issues about EMF and electrosensitivity, but we talked about tech addiction. We talked about areas of nutrition that can be used to help combat the damage from EMF exposure. So, and we're just starting work now on season 2, where we're going to be getting into more interviews with experts about digital detox.
Oh my God, I love this. That was perfect. Like, you're right. That was like the next step and next level, because we need to hear more about this and having that healthier relationship with technology, because it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
It's just going to get bigger, and this bigger monster that we have to feed, that we have to like succumb to. It's just like, oh my God. And as you're speaking, you know, and you use the words relationship with technology, the first thing that comes to my head is these little kids that are carrying around cell phones and, you know, iPads, and they're plugged in and their little necks are bent and they're just like, they're, you know, their eyeballs are just glued to it.
Yeah. You know, when I grew up, I had much more of a relationship with technology than my parents. And the kids that are growing up today have just so much more technology in their lives. And technology is great. It adds a lot of value to us as individuals, to society, to the economy.
Sure.
But we also have to be mindful of what it does to our personalities, to our mental state, and to our health. And there's sort of this, I don't know, bias or prejudice. Technology is just kind of good. Like, if there's a tech product out there, it's good, it's adding value. And other than what it costs you to buy it, it doesn't bring any additional costs to your health or well-being. It just allows you to do something else. And a big part of what I spend my time talking about is that there are these other costs. And so when you use a new piece of technology, yes, it brings certain value to you and to your work and to your entertainment and so forth, but it also brings costs. And a lot of what I talk about are the costs to your physical health through the exposure to EMF that comes from these devices. But I mean, we're seeing it in the news every day these days with the Facebook leaks and, you know, what Facebook itself knows its products are doing to people.
It's crazy. I love that you said that there are other costs. You know, one thing that drives me insane is when we go to a restaurant and you see a toddler, or not even a toddler, bigger, and the parents propped up the phone against the cup and they're eating and doing whatever. And the kid's like, you know, just blindly eating his food, staring at it. And that's their entertainment while they're sitting there. And I'm just like, it drives me bananas. Now, I get it, right? You want to have a nice dinner, you're eating out, you want the kid to be entertained. But like, when you said that there are other costs, that's just what it made me think of immediately. Because I'm like, now your child doesn't know how to behave in a restaurant. It's not learning proper table manners. You're missing that family connection and that time over the meal when you should be connecting, because not mom and dad or whoever isn't running around making everything, cleaning up. You just get to sit and be.
Yeah.
And now you've just plugged your kid into that. Like, I never did that with my kids. I never will. I'm like, ma'am, waitress, can we have the crayons and placemats? Do you still have those? But so much of a cost, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. Let's get into EMF.
Sure.
I'm dying to know more. Tell us, break it down for dummies. What is it?
So I'll start from square one. So EMF itself is an acronym. It stands for electromagnetic field. It's also called electromagnetic radiation. So it's a force that's created by the combination of both electricity and magnetism. Now, that's about as scientific as I'm going to get on this talk, but that's where the name comes from, and that's what it is. So where is it? Well, there's a form of EMF that we all know, and that is sunlight. Sunlight, and actually all visible light, is a form of EMF. And in fact, for almost the entirety of human history, almost the entirety of all life on Earth, that is basically the only form of EMF that we were exposed to and that we evolved to cope and thrive with. Now, there's certain forms of EMF with more energy than sunlight. These are called ionizing because they have so much energy, they can knock electrons loose from the cells in our body, which is really harmful. And so these forms, your listeners would probably know one or two of them. They include X-rays and gamma rays. So whenever you go in and you get an X-ray at the dentist, that's a form of ionizing EMF radiation. And we all know Everyone agrees. This stuff is very, very harmful, even in very, very small doses, which is why you should get as few x-rays as possible. And when you do get them at the dentist, right, they cover you in a lead coat and the technician actually leaves the room. That's because they're super dangerous. Now, there's certain forms of EMF with less energy than sunlight, also called non-ionizing EMF, because they don't have enough energy to knock electrons loose. And these forms of EMF that we are now exposed to, they come from everything that runs on power. So that includes power lines, it includes electrical appliances. It also comes from everything that communicates wirelessly. That includes cell phones, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, radar, television. These are all sources of this non-ionizing form of EMF. Sometimes there's different types of it. So sometimes you might hear the term radio frequency. Another common one is microwave. These are all types of non-ionizing EMF. Now, it was long thought that non-ionizing EMF radiation, the kind that we're all exposed to from all of these devices, it was benign. It was harmless. But starting about 100 years ago, and then increasing over time, a body of science started emerging showing that that assumption was false, that these exposures lead to a wide range of negative health outcomes. And when you hear people like me talking about EMF, we're really talking about this non-ionizing form, the kind that we're getting from cell phones, we're getting from Wi-Fi, we're even getting from our refrigerators. And what's key to realize is that these forms of EMF basically did not exist until about 200, actually less than 200 years ago, till the late 19th century with the invention of the light bulb. So you had the invention of the light bulb. That was really the first source that became common. Then you had a power grid to power the light bulbs. That became another source. Once you had the power grid in place, you had people developing all these nifty new appliances, particularly for the kitchen, but for the house. And those all became sources of EMF. Then they realized that you could send information wirelessly. And so you got radio, you got television, you got radar. And then, of course, this just kept on going. So then you got cordless phones, and you got cell phones, and then you got Wi-Fi, and then you got Bluetooth. And with each passing year, we're getting more and more and more of the sources of these devices in our lives that become sources of this stuff. So now, just as one conservative estimate, and I want to underscore, this is a conservative estimate. I don't go around trying to be a fearmonger or anything like that.
Right.
But just walking through a city today, not holding a phone up to your head, just walking through a city today exposes you to over 1 trillion times the amount of EMF that is found in nature. And that is a constant exposure. That is 24/7. And so that is the threat. That is the issue that I'm here to talk to you about today.
That is mind-blowing. But think about it. I mean, if you're walking through a city and all the buildings and all the offices and all the cell phones and all the Bluetooth and everything that's going on and the fax machines, like everything, I'm not shocked by that number.
Yeah. And then it gets worse when you do hold a cell phone up to your head, or when you are standing next to a Wi-Fi router. Those exposures become quite powerful, again, in relation to what we evolved to, what our bodies, what all life on Earth evolved to thrive in, to cope with. It's just overpowering the levels that we're exposed to today.
Okay, so I have to ask, what is this doing to us as a species?
So
what are the effects?
Yes.
I'm scared, R. No. I mean, but yeah, I am.
I hear that a lot. And the first thing I will say is not to be scared and not to be panicked. Modern life necessarily involves exposure to a lot of toxins. I mean, modern life has brought a tremendous number of advantages. We're living longer. We are very productive. We get to travel. We get to watch TV. We get to work from all these different cool places. If we have a serious health issue, we can be rushed to a hospital with high-tech treatments and so forth. So modern life has brought a lot of benefits, and it also has brought a lot of exposure to toxins. And this is one of those toxins. And one of the reasons that I encounter people, who become panicked is because they've just never thought of this as one of those toxins before. And, when you become aware of it, you start to realize how much of it is around you. And it is easy to sort of freak out. And my advice to people is not to do that, because there is a lot that you can do about this. Now, but to get back to your question, which is, what is this doing to us? The answer that science is painting for us, and I'm talking about a very large and continually growing body of science, many thousands of studies showing that these exposures impact essentially every biological system in our bodies. So when people sometimes hear this covered on the news, they'll hear, do cell phones cause brain tumors? And, it's natural to want to focus on brain tumors because that's friggin' terrifying. And if they are causing brain tumors, right, you kind of want to know. But while that is a terrifying and serious health outcome, there are many other negative health outcomes that are being linked to EMF radiation. So at the high end, the more severe end, it's not just brain tumors, right? You're seeing links in thyroid cancer, in prostate cancer, even now in breast cancer. The carcinogenicity of EMF is not just limited to the brain. It appears wherever that there are these significant exposures.
And we can see the link between the two, between EMF and thyroid, breast cancer, all that.
Yes, science has shown those links. Now,
I have to tell you, this is so stupid.
Yeah.
But my daughter takes her cell phone, she puts it in her jean pocket in her butt. And I'm like, stop doing that. You're going to get butt cancer.
I shouldn't laugh. Yes, I mentioned prostate cancer. Colorectal cancer is another form of EMF where there is science now showing the link. Later in the episode, I imagine we're going to get to some of the things you can do to live healthier.
Yes.
Not carrying your phone in your pocket or bra is the number one tip that I tell people. But we can get back to that a bit later.
Okay. Yes. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just
No. This is great. So, as I said, the tumors and the cancers, those are very serious outcomes. It makes sense that people focus on those, but those are not the only sets of outcomes that we see, right? So you see there's strong science demonstrating the link between EMF exposure and anxiety and depression. You see links, very strong links between cell phone radiation exposure and infertility and subfertility, particularly in men who carry their phones in their pockets or who use their laptops in their laps, right? You see this manifesting in terms of problems with memory development in adolescence. You can actually see this in miscarriage rates for women. You can see this not only in miscarriage rates, but there's a study out of Kaiser Permanente. There's many I could cite specifically, but this one I find interesting, and I think your listeners will too, because it shows the more EMF a fetus is exposed to when inside the mother, the greater the chance that that child develops asthma by the age of 13.
Oh my God.
So you see even these delayed health effects resulting. So when I said you're seeing these negative health outcomes across essentially every biological system that's been measured, that's the picture that I'm trying to draw for your listeners. It really impacts every aspect of our bodies.
It does. This makes so much sense to me. And I'm so glad that we're talking about this and getting this out there, because look at our world now, and everyone's like, oh, well, it's our soil and, it's just this. It's like, dude, take a look at the EMF and what we're exposed to. And we can study this and track this, like you're saying, like, that's insane. But I don't think people stop and think, what is this piece of technology that's so wonderful and helping me with my life? How is this affecting us, overall? And now we're so addicted to it, we don't want to give it up.
Yep. That is a serious challenge that people like me, who advocate for a saner relationship with this stuff, that we face, because people really are addicted to it. But unlike with cigarettes, which people were also, it still are, but we're also very addicted to, this stuff actually brings tremendous value to society, right? So with cigarettes, you had really strong addiction, but it didn't really add value to society, except to a few small economies of tobacco farmers. And even then, it took decades for the science to break through to become actual regulation.
Yeah.
And another difference is that you can actually see cigarette smoke. You can see tobacco smoke. You can't see
That's
EMF.
true.
EMF, it's odorless, it's tasteless. You can't touch it or smell it, feel it, anything, right? This invisible force. So it's easy to pretend it doesn't even really exist. And when you start to want to learn about it, if you do, right, it's kind of a complicated subject. It involves physics, it involves electrical engineering, it involves all the units of measurement that people have never heard of, like a Gauss or a Tesla or a watt per kilogram. And for all of these reasons, it can be challenging for people like me to break through and get people to be aware and to care. But increasingly, that is happening.
Hey, so I thought this would be a good time to give you guys a little bit more information on my online program, Busy to Bomb Fit Mom. If you are looking to be motivated, inspired, finally get off your butt and do the things that you want to do with your health and your fitness and your workout and your body and hit those goals, we need to talk. Busy to Bomb Fit Mom is a full online program. It's a 90-day program that's going to get you into the best shape of your life. Now, is it an easy diet plan to follow or all these amazing workouts that I'm just going to hand you on a silver platter? No, this program is going to love and support you. It's going to motivate you, get you heading in the right direction. But you don't have to do it alone. You're going to have an entire support system with you. You're going to have me as your coach, coaching you on nutrition, your workouts. I become your virtual personal trainer. So if this is something that you're looking for and you just need that extra push and someone on your heels telling you that you're worth it and it's time, we need to talk. Visit www.busytobombfitmom.com. Book a call with me. Let's see if this is a fit for you. All right, back to the show.
Yeah, I just took my daughter's AirPods from her as like a punishment because my brother, believe it or not, had just told me that he read some study about how bad AirPods were and stuff. And he's like, I just took them off for my kids. And then I was waiting for my daughter to screw up. And I'm like, oh, you just lost your AirPods. So now they're in my desk drawer. But I wanted a way to like break that from her because I was catching her like in the morning, plugging them in, getting ready in the bathroom, had the AirPods in, like sitting down. I'm like, okay, we got weird rules here at my home. Like they're not allowed to have their cell phones on the couch. Like they have to stand at the counter and
That's
use
great.
them if they want to use them. They're not allowed in their bedrooms. And I'm like, she's like, what? So I'm just supposed to stand here and text my friends or whatever? I'm like, yep. I'm a mean mom. I'm the worst mom, mean mom ever. But you have to be aware of this. How bad are AirPods? Like, are they pretty bad?
Yeah. I was actually just giving another interview yesterday where someone was asking me about all these different technologies. And, I don't go around telling people not to use technology. I had a 20-year career in California in software development. I was at the center of technology for quite a long time. And I know what it's like. I know that it adds a lot of value. It adds a lot of enjoyment. It fuels huge chunks of the economy.
Yeah.
So I don't go around telling people not to use technology, with a few exceptions. AirPods being one of those exceptions. Because when you are using an AirPod and similar products work with Bluetooth. Bluetooth is basically the same as Wi-Fi, except it's lower powered in general, right? Because whereas a cell phone has to be able to communicate several miles, Wi-Fi has to be able to communicate a couple 100 feet. Bluetooth, depending on which type, only has to be able to communicate anywhere from 10 to 30 feet.
Okay.
So it operates with much less power. So you might think it's safer than Wi-Fi. So why am I telling you not to use AirPods? Okay, one, you're putting it right in your ear, which is about as close to your brain as it could possibly be. Two, you're putting it close to your brain at a place where there's no skull separating the product from your brain, right? Because the ear canal is a hole in your skull. The skull provides some degree of natural shielding. So when there's no skull there, you're actually giving a straight channel for the AirPod to emit the Bluetooth right into your brain. Three, this one's really key, is duration of exposure. Because with AirPods and other similar Bluetooth headset products, right? Because this goes back decades now where people would walk around with these Bluetooth headset. It used to be just business people and just with one, right? Because they'd only use it for calls. They wouldn't listen to music with it. But you walk around for hours with this every day. So the duration of exposure, right, increases the dose. So with AirPods, you have very close proximity to a very sensitive part of your body and very high duration of exposure. So the proximity and the duration both contribute to a very high dose. And with the greater the dose, the greater the risk. And so that's why I tell people never to use Bluetooth headsets, especially because there are plenty of alternatives, right? You can use a regular headset. You can use speakerphone. You can use an anti-radiation headset. There's all these other alternatives. You do not need Bluetooth. And so in that sense, it doesn't even add any value. It's just kind of cool. And when it's not adding any value, I really advise against using it. So that is one of the products where I particularly come down pretty strong and say, never use this stuff. And I would say especially so for children, because the younger you are, the more vulnerable from these forces that you are, and the longer that you have to live with the results of that damage.
Yeah, that's so true. Oh my God, I'm so glad I took them away from her. So the first part of the headphones, the white ones that go into your ears, but they have a cord to your phone, those are better because it's not Bluetooth.
Right. Those are not a source of radiation. They can conduct a little bit of radiation from your phone or your device.
Yeah.
But it's so much better than using Bluetooth. Yeah. So those are not a source of radiation.
Damn it, R. What am I going to wear at the gym now?
It's funny. I have relatives who are very familiar with the work that I do, and they take seriously a lot of the things I say. And then the one time they'll actually use Bluetooth headsets is at the gym. And so even knowing everything that I have to say, they do that because, well, you obviously understand, right? Because there's no cords getting in the way and it's easier to work out. And that is kind of the one use case where I do see that there is some value in it. And I know people who take the EMF stuff quite seriously, but still do that. So, and you're an adult, so you can make your own decisions and, it's not as harmful to you as it would be to your children. So I totally understand where you're coming from with that comment.
Yeah. Well, because then I'm thinking like, well, if my cord is plugged into my phone, then I got to have my phone on my body and then my phone's touching my body.
Yeah. So ideally you would be putting your phone into airplane mode if it's touching your body. So that, because I know with a lot of these music services, you can actually get the music onto your device instead of just streaming it in real time. And then you can listen to your playlist while your phone isn't actually connected to Wi-Fi or cell networks. And that would be the better way of doing that.
Okay. So if we do have to have our phone on our body, but we can't turn airplane mode off, tell me about your products, because I was doing some research and I'm like, ooh, what's this shield? What can we get to help ourselves?
Sure. So most or all of your listeners don't actually know what my products are. So I appreciate having the opportunity.
Yes. Let's share them.
Because if anyone who's listening to this goes out online and searches for EMF protection, there's actually a lot of different stuff out there. And it can be hard for especially someone new to this to know what's what, because they all say different things. So my products are all based on shielding technology. This is universally accepted technology. It's almost 200 years old since a scientist named Michael Faraday invented what became known as a Faraday cage. And what he discovered is that you can weave conductive metal into certain patterns. And when you do that, it actually deflects EMF radiation. For a long time, this has been used, for instance, to shield sensitive electronic equipment, right? Because certain electronics are very sensitive to electromagnetic interference, and you need to put them in Faraday cages in order to ensure proper function. Now, over time, it also became easier to engineer smaller and smaller of these Faraday shields, so small that you can now, in fact, weave them into pieces of fabric. The metallic fibers that I use in many of my products, they are thinner than a human hair. And so that gives us the ability to actually put them into a whole wide variety of products. You don't need what you would think of as a cage, right? A big fence. You can actually line a piece of fabric with it. And then you can put that fabric into all these other products. So that is what my products are based on. If you go online, you'll see other ones. You'll see harmonizers, you'll see neutralizers, you'll see crystals and gems. So I just want to make sure people understand my products are based on shielding. This is universally accepted science. Not only do I have independent laboratories verify my product claims, I also give people a lot of educational materials so that if they wanted to go out and buy a $160 meter for themselves, they could see my products working with their own eyes. So this is not something you have to take a leap of faith on. My products, I guess that's by way of saying my products really work. Now, in the use case that you were talking about, right? So you're at the gym or anywhere, you need your phone on your body. This doesn't only apply at the gym. There's certain people for their jobs, they need to have their phones on and they need to carry them on their body. That's actually a big part of my market for some of my products. And so I have a few products for that kind of use case, but the most popular one is called my phone pouch. And the phone pouch is a pouch, right? It's a neoprene pouch, and you can put your phone in it, and then you can carry the phone on your belt or in your pocket. And the back of the pouch is shielded with this material that I was talking about, and the front isn't shielded. So what this does is when you're carrying it on your belt, right, it deflects the radiation away from your body while still allowing your phone to communicate. And so that is one of the products, that's one of my more popular products now. That product is almost 7 years old now, and it's consistently a popular product. And it's used exactly for this use case of making it safer to carry your phone by deflecting the radiation away from your body. And when you think about it, it's illustrative of how crazy it is that these phones communicate the same power level in every single direction, right? Because they don't need to. They could be engineering these products to be safer without using additional layers of protection, but they don't because the regulations don't make them. But just to underscore how unwise it is to carry your phone in your pocket, there are manuals for several models of cell phones that actually, if you read the fine print, say the same thing. And so that includes several models of iPhone. And they don't actually say, don't carry this in your pocket, but they do say you have to carry it a certain distance away from your body in order for the levels to be lower than the ones that are legally allowed to be sold.
Yeah, and who's reading that and paying attention?
Only followers of mine.
Yeah, right? So if you put the shield on one side of your phone, the other side you said is neoprene. If you put the shield on both sides, would that affect how your phone communicates?
Yeah, so I don't make any products that do that. There are products that do that. I don't do that because if you fully wrap your phone, you're either going to cut off the signal entirely.
Yeah.
I'm thinking if that's what you want to do, just put it into airplane mode.
Right.
Or you're going to because what happens with phones is when the signal is interfered with like that, they will boost the power output to compensate for the interference. So the phone will be boosting its power, which will more rapidly drain the battery. So it'll cause the phone to emit more EMF, and it will more rapidly drain the battery. And you'll probably not even have a connection anyway. So that's why we don't make products that do that.
Okay. Do you have anything? I did get a chance to look, but so many people keep their phone next to their bed at night.
Yeah. So that's another of the tips I would have for people is to not to do that.
Yes.
Or to do it, but keeping the phone in airplane mode. But for people who don't have that option. So I remember there was a period in time a few years ago now where I had a relative in the hospital and I had to be on call basically 24/7, which meant that I needed to sleep with my phone. And there's a good example for people. You know, I tell people not to sleep with their phones. I'm also a realist. I realize there are times when you need to do even the stuff I do, the stuff I tell people not to do. So I had to sleep with my phone for a couple of months and I couldn't put it in airplane mode because I needed to be able to get a call at any moment. So I do make a product for that. It's called the Syb Picture Frame. It's like an angled picture frame. So it's designed to hold two photographs. So you don't even see that it's really a shield. It's designed to just kind of fit into your environment. And then you put the phone behind the frame. And then you put the frame in between your phone and your body. So it's great for nightstands or end tables. When you do that, right, the phone can still operate, but it deflects most of the radiation away in the opposite direction from your body. So that would be a product that I have for that use case.
That is so cool. I'm buying like 4 of them as soon as we end. That is really neat. And I wouldn't have thought of that as picture frame. Could you use the pocket shield? Like if you had to, before you got the frame, and like put the shield towards you and the phone facing outward?
You'd have to get the shield to stand, like the phone pouch. It doesn't stand up on its own. So you'd have to mount it like on something to get it to stand up. It's the same exact technology. Yeah, the picture frame's a bit better because it's 2 kind of sides that are angled. So it creates more of a wrap.
Oh, okay.
It's the same technology. And so, yeah, you could, if you wanted to, kind of get a phone pouch to stand up vertically and then use that on your bedside.
Oh my God. Okay. This has been so interesting and just eye-opening. You know, I could keep you on here for another 2 hours and just like keep going and pulling and picking and pulling things out of you. My mind keeps going back to the world we're living in right now, you know, and over the last few years of people being locked in and quarantine and stuff. And as you're talking about the depression and the anxiety, I mean, it's like skyrocketing right now. You know, the rate of adolescent suicide is like through the roof. There was a new study that just came out the other day about it, and the emergency room visits. And as I'm listening to you and thinking, I'm like, man, what did we go and do to ourselves? We put us in our home, we didn't leave, and now we're exposed to all of this, you know, the EMF and everything on top of feeling isolated, scared, worried, fearful.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we just made like the perfect storm for depression and anxiety.
No, I totally agree. And you very accurately pointed out, you know, there's lots of reasons that the last year and a half would contribute to increased levels of anxiety and depression and hopelessness. EMF is one of them, but there are plenty of other reasons to have some serious despair in the world right now. We're at this point in time now, and we are starting to come out of the quarantines and the lockdowns and all of this. My recommendation would be to, again, take this more mindful approach. Because as you said, you know, we're all locked. We've all been locked in. We not only wanted to use technology more, we often had to, whether it was for telecommuting or telestudying or telehealth. So we had to use technology more. And then we wanted to binge watch Squid Game or Tiger King or whatever it is. And so, but now as we're coming out, you know, realize that that's what happened, and it doesn't need to be what continues to happen. That we can use, you know, that thing you said about what you did with one of your children, where they have to be in a certain position in the room in order to text. That is a great example of the types of boundaries that you can set. I believe you said it was your daughter that you were enforcing that with? Yeah. So to her, it seems stupid and arbitrary because the phone worked just as well on the couch, but she's going to do it less because it involves all that extra effort to go up to the couch. And so setting these boundaries with your children and with yourself, this is a great time to do it because we are starting to get back to a more normal place, and we do not need to carry the same habits that we had for the last 18 months as we go there.
Yeah, I completely agree. The struggle is real in my house. But hey, if I'm going to save her and I'm going to help and, you know, it's worth it. I'll take it. I'll be the bad mom, like whatever. Thank you so much for coming on today. I want everyone immediately to go and check him out. Tell us again, what is your website? What's your social media? How can we find you?
Sure. So we have a page actually set up at shieldyourbody.com/bombmom. And right there, you not only learn more about me, but you can get my free guide with the top 5 ways to cut your exposure to EMF radiation for free. That includes things like not carrying your phone in your pocket and your bra. But not only does it tell you that, it tells you why these 5 things are the most important. And it also includes a special coupon for your listeners if they are interested in any of my laboratory tested EMF protection products. And also has a link to my podcast for anyone who might be interested in tuning in to hear a bit more about engaging with a healthier relationship with technology.
Oh, perfect. I love that we have our own our own link to you. That is amazing. Well, you guys make sure you check him out immediately. Follow him because I love staying connected. Oh yeah. What's your social media?
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, we're at Shield Your Body. That's all one word, Shield Your Body, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
Perfect.
And YouTube is actually a great one for it. We have a lot of great videos up there.
Oh, good. And those are easy to share and pass on to family and friends. Be like, hey, just watch this really quick. Watch this YouTube link. Oh, thank you for coming on. I can't wait to get started with your products and just keep learning more and keep my family safe and my kids and everything. I think you've really changed some lives today, and we can't thank you enough for coming on.
I really appreciate being here with you, Melissa. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Oh, you are welcome. Stay safe, stay healthy, everyone. Till next time. If you are ready to become a bomb mom, join my free course over at www.melissavogelfitness.com/course. This podcast is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information in regards to the subject matter covered. This is given with the understanding that neither the host, practice of the practice, or the guest are providing legal, mental health, nutritional, or other professional information. If you need a professional, you should find one.